I mean, you've been literally
No, oh my
at
gosh.
Madison Square Garden.
Oh yeah, that's
No.
right.
And then I dropped I
Yeah, you dropped a check.
dropped the check. Yeah, they were presenting me with the check, and it was a huge honor.
Yeah,
and,
That was really dope.
But dropped it, and then I was like, oh, my hands are really. They wanted me to wave the whole time, and I have like very large hands for it's just like it's when you're from a distance when I'm waving, it's just like you just see it's like all hands. So.
Welcome to The Worst Asian Podcast, where a couple Asian American millennials give you our shitty opinions on all things Asian. My name's Linji. I am here with my co-host, Ben.
Yes, my name is Ben. How are you?
I am okay. How are you?
Oh, sorry, I give you that Google Assistant message reply. I'm good, man. I'm good.
You doing good today?
I had a long morning. Let's just put it that way.
Yes, you were 1 hour late.
Oh, this I think this is a record.
No, you've been over an hour late.
I was worse than this?
You've been worse than this for sure.
Holy shit.
Yeah, so that's not a gold star for you to say that you've done even worse.
No, I know. I just didn't know. I was like, yo, this has to be a record and shit. But
the thing is, I always prime myself, or I give myself enough leeway so that if I tell you that we need to be somewhere at 11 o'clock to do something, I tell you to be there at 10.
exactly. You're kind of like the Bruce
And I
Wayne.
don't tell you.
Exactly. You're like Batman. You're always a step ahead.
With you being late, with all these scheduling conflicts we had, I'll get into this with our guests later. It seems like this interview may have never happened because we had to cancel the interview once. She had some technical issues on her end one day and had to cancel. So this is attempt number 3, and you tried to wreck it by not showing up.
What? Oh, no. I actually almost did. Yeah, you're right.
Before the universe cancels this interview somehow, before we even get started, let's get right into it.
Good idea.
Coming on the podcast today, we have my new best friend forever, BFF.
Wow.
She is to Chinatown what Spider-Man Peter Parker is to Queens. We have the CEO
like that.
and founder of Welcome to Chinatown.
Mhm.
Let's give it up for Victoria Lee.
Woo!
Hi,
Welcome.
Thanks for coming on,
Thanks.
Victoria.
excited to be here.
We were talking about this off air. This almost never happened because we had scheduling conflicts on your end, scheduling conflicts on my end,
Yeah.
and my co-host decided to come over half an hour late today.
I had a little emergency with the bathroom and the water issue and all that. So, yeah.
Yeah, struggle of living in a high-rise apartment.
Yes, it was. I got a good workout for it. So, can't complain.
Okay, Victoria, you want to give our listeners a quick introduction on who you are and what you do?
Yeah, sure. Victoria Lee, also go by Vic. I am the co-founder CEO of Welcome to Chinatown, which is a nonprofit focused on community preservation of Manhattan's Chinatown by advocating for API small businesses and entrepreneurs.
I guess given all the work that you do with Welcome to Chinatown, you must have had some at least deep, strong ties to Chinatown yourself growing up.
Yeah, so I grew up in Brooklyn. I grew up by Coney Island.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, and like my parents are still there, but we spent every single weekend in Chinatown.
Yeah.
So my late grandmother, she had an apartment. We would drive out from Brooklyn, and it was like this whole Sunday ritual where come out, drop by my Paul's house, and then like say hi, buy groceries. We would rent the TVB, they were like the VHS tapes,
Yeah.
and then it was DVDs. So we would rent them there, and then I would help her cook dinner, and then we would drive back out. So yeah, Chinatown's become a really special place to me because when I think about my identity as a Chinese American woman, it is associated like almost all the memories there are the ones that I've had in Chinatown.
Sundays for like most Asian families in general, it's like a big thing, right? The only day my parents had off. We did all the grocery shopping. We did all the food prep for like the rest of the week as much as we could. And we spent a good amount of time just like hanging out with each other.
Yeah. When I bring up that story, particularly with a lot of fellow millennials, that is the root too of their upbringing.
Yeah.
It's pretty much like it's tradition.
When you're a first generation immigrant, most of the week, you're basically by yourself. And maybe Sundays or that one reserved day of the week is the time when you get to actually connect with the rest of your family and you're not so busy.
It's always nice knowing you have like a home away from home.
Yeah. That brings us to where we are right now.
Yep.
How did all that ultimately tie into what you did with Welcome to Chinatown? How did all that begin?
Well, so I've been now I live in Chinatown. My parents are still in Brooklyn, but I've been living in Chinatown, Lower East Side for about like 10, 11 years now. And it's home. And during COVID, it was seeing like where I'm feeling that there was like something off. The foot traffic wasn't there, particularly
Yeah.
around Lunar New Year. My co-founder, Jen, she at the time also lived in Chinatown. We would talk with small business owners, we'd talk with wait staff, and they're like, yeah, it's just really quiet. In particular, I remember going to celebrate my friend's birthday. This was first or second weekend in March. We went to Whiskey Tavern, which is always busy
Yeah,
on
that place
like
is
right,
live.
it's
Whiskey
packed
Tavern.
on yeah, like packed on Friday, Saturday night, and it wasn't. And then after we went to Wohop, and we were the only large group table there.
Oh,
So
that's
Yeah.
crazy because Wohop is always packed, especially
Yeah.
like on the weekend-ish night.
yeah, and I was like, I probably like 11, 12, and
Yeah.
just not was like shocked at how empty all of that was. And so then that's when we knew something was off, and we started talking to the business owners to ask how they were going to handle pause and what their situation was. And it was a lot of uncertainty, and that to me like really broke my heart, because I also in talking we mentioned about like the formative years, a lot of these like formative years and experiences are also for me rooted in the small businesses.
Yeah, of
So
course.
yeah, I think about like my dad when he would drive out every day, he would always stop at like Great New York Noodle Town
Yeah.
and tell me like this is where you're going to get like the best duck noodles, and bring that back to Brooklyn, and we'd have it over like weeknights too. So just deciding that there could be loss associated with what was happening, that just pushed me and Jen to do something. So we exchanged Instagram messages. We were thinking about how we could get small business owners onto gift card platforms. It's right when pause happened, there was everyone on social media is like, go support your favorite business, buy a gift card. And that's hard to do in Chinatown because it's still a lot of cash only businesses.
Yeah, it is.
So we decided we're going to go talk to some small businesses, see if we could get them onto the gift card platform. We talked to a handful and they're like, no, like, who are you? What are you
Really?
doing? Yeah. They're like, why would you do this? We don't trust you. My Cantonese is not good. And Jen's is even worse. So we pivoted and we decided to start a GoFundMe, raise money, use that to purchase meals for essential workers. And that was like our very first initiative.
There is a trust factor to all of that too, right? Because I think historically, or at least culturally speaking, it's hard for most Asians and most Chinese small business owners to just see a random stranger come to your business at a time when they're already having their own difficulties and struggles, and trying to be convinced of the fact that this person here is actually trying to do me some good.
Yeah.
How big was it of a struggle?
It definitely was a huge barrier, and it's still a barrier that we face right now. There's language, there's tech, there's socioeconomical issues, and then the cultural influence is pretty difficult too. When you think about, so we now have a grant program called the Longevity Fund, and even some of the questions that like tell me about your business,
Yeah.
it's not like people,
They're skeptical.
Yeah, exactly.
or like also it's hard to talk about yourself. Right. Like I think that in the upbringing, in immigrant households, particularly in Asian upbringings, it's, the idea of like humility, right? And like how do you kind of express what your views are about community? How do you express what your views are about your business, and be prideful too about your business? And it's difficult. So sometimes too, kind of like getting information. It's a lot about building trust to make sure that they feel comfortable in sharing things, and that we are dependable to them as a resource.
Yeah. Okay, I'm an ally, but you walk into a store and like this person is literally trying to like tell me like, is she gonna sell me something? Is she gonna give me a timeshare? That's what I'm getting. Like, I don't know.
Has it gotten easier since? Because at least now you have 2 years under your belt, so you have some history of doing good for the community. Is it now easier to approach, let's say, a equivalent small business and get them to come on board with what you're trying to do?
It is easier because we have built up some trust through, particularly word of mouth is important, and not just with fellow business owners, but we've started to work a lot more with elected officials, city agencies that are saying like, oh, do you know Welcome Chinatown? They could be a resource.
Right.
So that's been crucial. And very early on too, with the meal deliveries, myself and our head of finance at the time, Hung Mai, we would pick up the meals from who we were purchasing, just say hi, ask how they're doing, and then like drop off those meals at the hospital.
Yeah.
But for them to see our face, see your face with the
see
mask,
your eyeballs and the top of your nose.
That made a huge difference because we were coming week after week for months, and it led to conversations about what's your struggle now, and telling us it's overhead costs. So then we could think about how are we going to shape our next initiative around that. So it was really important.
So just a side note for what Victoria is talking about. She was supporting small businesses by purchasing meals from these restaurants and then donating them to other first respond workers. So it's like a dual benefit, both for the first responders and at the same time showing support for these communities during the time when these restaurants were getting really little to no business at all. So I just want to make that point clear.
Would you consider yourself like a shy person, or like, well, how difficult was that for you? Meeting all these like people in the community.
I don't think I'm shy. I think I'm introverted extrovert. I prefer to be introverted, but I'm extroverted if I have to be.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
This is why we're BFFs, because I feel literally the exact same way too. I would rather just be at home, reading a book or something.
Yeah, leave me alone.
And I think it's actually only gotten worse during the pandemic. A lot about like social anxiety and whatnot. But with the business owners, I really enjoy like the conversations and talking to them, just hearing more about their story, how learning too about their families and their workers, and a lot of not just for the owners, but many of them have staff that have been there for decades too. And one of the most rewarding things has been able to understand the community at a more intimate level, because I lived here for a decade now, but I very much knew it at the surface level. And being able to get to know people on that first name basis, which is a lot harder than it is in New York City. You don't really tell people your name in New York. I think that's helped a lot with the whole introverted, extroverted internal dialogue that I have.
Do you feel a lot more comfortable now?
You must, right? I mean, you've been literally at Madison Square Garden.
Oh yeah, that's right.
I dropped
yeah, you dropped a check.
Dropped the check. Yeah. When they were presenting me with the check, and it was a huge honor.
Yeah,
and,
that was really dope.
But dropped it, and then I was like, oh, my hands are really, they wanted me to wave the whole time, and I have like very large hands it's just like, it's when you're from a distance, when I'm waving, it's just like, you just see, it's like all hands. So yeah, those are like the types of like anxiety that I have in my head about perception. And I don't think it never gets easier when it's having to do interviews or do public speaking.
Right.
I've always wondered this about giant ass checks. Is it just like a fake check? No one goes to the bank with these giant ass checks.
So
I haven't seen someone do that.
No one goes to the bank, but I mean, I'm kind of surprised no one has like done something with, like a QR code, scan it, deposit it instantly now or something. Well, then I guess other people
you're right,
can get access to QR codes. I feel like there's a way to make these giant checks more usable in the future than just like
Are those checks heavy? Like, how did it feel? Is it like a surfboard you're pretty much holding on?
Not heavy, because it's a foam course. It's pretty light, but I still managed to drop it.
One final check question, and I know we sound very obsessed with this check. Do you still have the check? Is it a souvenir that you kept, or you had to actually give it back?
They were supposed to mail it to us, but we didn't get it.
No way.
Now it's a distant memory.
Because that would have been so cool, just to like frame in your office or something, right?
Yeah.
Turn it into like a big coffee table.
Okay, let's try to get back on track and get more serious again.
Oh yeah. Sorry.
Some of the programs that you do with Welcome to Chinatown, the Longevity Fund is one of the main branches. What is the Longevity Fund?
The Longevity Fund, it's one of our cornerstone initiatives. It's a grant program that we started. What we were finding when talking with the business owners was they really needed funds for recovery. So when we were doing the meal donations, they're like, this is great, but the profit margins are still thin.
Yeah.
Particularly for Chinatown businesses, which typically food and beverage establishments operate on like high volume, thin margins. And even the services that are here too, like spas or hair salons also tend to operate at lower price points. So talking with them gave us the idea about how can we create a grant program that is accessible,
Mm-hmm.
because PPP loans were very difficult to obtain. I remember
Very
when we
true.
when we first launched the longevity fund, Center for Responsible Lending estimated it's either 65 or 75% of Asian-owned restaurants wouldn't qualify
Oh,
for
wow.
a PPP loan, which is it's really high. And
Yeah, that's surprising.
yeah, and well, the areas I mentioned about, right, language access, digital access, and making sure, like, how do you find the application? How do you know where to apply? How do you know that this is even open?
Oh, so it's less about the actual qualifications for the loan, but more about just how do I
The ease of access kind
Right.
of thing.
It can be that, or other factors for cash only businesses is they will struggle to get their paperwork in order. So they're at a timing disadvantage
Gotcha.
too. And what we wanted to do was to create a grant program that was tackling these challenges. So we to date have issued over $500,000 in grants.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Should.
Thank you.
Congrats.
Yeah, I'm really proud of the team for being able to do that. And there's a lot of legwork that goes into it. Like, we print the applications, translate it. We go to door once a month from when the applications are open to when they close. We will meet with the business owner, and if they have difficulties filling out the application, there's a volunteer that will assist them.
Wow.
So it's been really rewarding to see the growth of this initiative, and moving forward, we're looking at developing it out into a more well-rounded accelerator and incubator program.
You see, like, that's what's up, because sometimes when you have these government programs, you may have the program, but if the person doesn't know about the existence of the program, or has a hard time just even like filling out the paperwork, finding out more information about it, then what is ultimately the point of it all?
Right.
The fact that you have your fund here, and then you're personally taking the first step and going out to these people and asking, hey, we have X, Y, and Z. You're going to the business as opposed to waiting for the businesses to come to you and these funds.
You're literally keeping a lot of these businesses afloat.
Thank you.
One of the things that I saw recently, and this episode may not come out in time, but part of the longevity grant is giving away a portion to a small business owner in Chinatown right now, or like a favorite business owner.
Yeah. So we are hosting our very first inaugural gala, and with the gala, we're having our first small business awards. We decided to have a fan favorite award. People are always, some of our most engaged posts have been sharing about, this is my favorite small business, or here's a guy, this is where you should get XYZ, right? So, like, let's try and build something around this where we can crowdsource this. And we were fortunate. We this past May worked with Jeffries, and Jeffries was able to allocate some funding that we were then in turn able to use for our small business award. So we have a fan favorite award. First round, I think we had 800 nominations.
That's crazy.
So far, we've had over 600 people vote. So yeah, I'm excited to see like which is going to be the fan favorite business.
That is so cool. You have the gala going on. Shout out to Jackie Mark. I saw her doing some artwork for the gala thing, and that's how I first found about it. If I get her in trouble, I will cut this part out. So sorry, Jackie, about that.
Jackie is awesome.
She is. The gala itself, you want to get into that a little bit, or is that not yet public information?
No, we can get into the gala. We were hosting our very first inaugural gala. We've been around for 2.5 years now. A lot of the work that we've been doing, it's for a volunteer basis virtual. And as well, when we need to go with businesses, we'll meet on like a one-on-one basis, a couple people that will go in, and we've hosted some smaller events.
Yeah.
But this is really the first time we're gathering all of our supporters, volunteers, community partners in one place and celebrating Welcome to Chinatown and sharing what's the next phase, where are we going, and how can you be a part of this? As well, we wanted to attach a more accessible public-facing portion to it. So we've been working with 88 East Broadway, the management, to activate the whole first floor vendor stalls.
Nice.
So we'll have some really cool stalls there that people can pop in, drop over the weekend. And it's also the starting and ending point for a scavenger hunt so that you can explore the rest of Chinatown, win some cool prizes. And it'll be a really fun weekend.
So it's a whole weekend thing, not just a one-night event thing?
Our gala is the Thursday, September 29th, and you'll get a preview of them all. But then the Friday and Saturday, so September 30th, October 1st, that's open to the public.
I will get all the information from Jackie or from you, and I'll put it on the box down below for anyone that is interested and that is in the local area. I want to get into a big thing that just happened recently. You just completed the Chinatown Impact Study.
Chinatown Impact Study is an evolution of, we did this last year. It was our State of the Chinatown Small Business Survey. We were trying to assess how businesses were doing and what were the challenges they were anticipating so that we could develop solutions, as well as raise awareness for what's been happening in the community. Because the effects of COVID on Chinatown really compound all of the policies or lack of investment into this neighborhood and the gentrification that's happening. So what we want to do is really use this too as an awareness opportunity and put some data to it. So our study that we just released in July is an evolution of that. And we've been working with an urban consulting firm to develop this study. We surveyed over 150 small businesses to make sure that we could get their feedback and we had in-depth focus groups in both English and Chinese. And the study now is a great tool for us because it also is a roadmap to show where do we need to be headed as we're looking at our 1, 3, 5-year outlook.
Yeah. Is there any parts of the study that when it came back was a bit surprising to you?
The demographics of when we think about visitation to Chinatown,
right?
That there's a lot of emphasis on tourism, and tourism is really important, but tourism makes up less than 25% of the visitation in 2019 to Chinatown. And by visitation, I mean foot traffic. The majority of this is coming from Chinatown residents. They are Lower Manhattan office workers, and then other New York City residents. The Lower Manhattan office workers is really key too, because return to office is looking different. People still have not returned 5 days a week. And when we talk with the owners, they've said how Monday to Thursday be really slow. So that was surprising to us, and how big the impact is and how not talked about, because it's going to change what their revenue and revenue planning looks like.
I kind of talked about this prior to COVID. It felt like in some ways, different Chinatowns were kind of not dying down per se, but at least declining in importance. Did you find that some of these businesses were already on the decline, or do you think that was mainly a COVID knockout hit?
Speaking for Manhattan Chinatown, it's not just a COVID hit. The commercial real estate and also rentals too, of housing rental prices are increasing. Yeah. And our study also mentions the API population from census data. So from 2010 to 2020, there's a 22% decrease in the API population living in Chinatown. 95% of that 22% is Chinese. So Asians are also not choosing to live in Chinatown anymore. Whether it could be we weren't able to study the specific factors, but I think that cost is one. We look at how expensive rentals are, and it's contributing to why it feels like Chinatowns are shrinking.
With the reoccurring stuff with Asian hate, do you think that has a factor to it as well?
It's made, and this is interesting because it actually came from a business owner in one of our focus groups who's also a resident. And not only loss of money, so Chinatown hasn't returned to its hours before COVID. I used to be able to step out at 1, 2 in the morning, and I can get a meal, and it's hard now past 10 p.m. to find a place that's open. Safety is a huge concern for the business owners, because they don't want their staff to have any issues or the fear of taking public transportation late at night.
Yep.
That leads to more places that are closed, which then leads to darker streets, which then leads to residents staying in.
It's like a vicious cycle.
Yeah, and that was what one of the owners who also lives here said. It's the quality of life is also different now because of these other effects from anti-Asian hate.
There's also a generational thing, I think, too, because older generations wanting to live in China. At its core, Chinatown has always been a place to build community and to preserve your heritage. And it serves its purpose for a lot of first-generation people, both to be close to people that they feel comfortable with, and because there's often a language barrier with living in other parts of the city. But given that younger generations now maybe no longer have that need to live so close to a place where they can speak the language, that kind of pushes people out as well. It's a compounding effect of a lot of different things coming in and just making it much more difficult for this. Were there any positive takeaways from the study that you can point to going forward then?
Positive takeaways are around what the opportunity is. There is this really, really great project called Brooklyn Bridge Manhattan, which we're a part of. They're also a nonprofit. Since 9/11, the Park Row area has been closed. From NYPD counterterrorism has shut down all of the traffic from Park Row, and Park Row is really it's a vital area because it easily connects Chinatown to Seaport to Financial District. On top of it's where the entrance it's the entranceway to the bridge. Yeah. But if you walk it, it's a terrible experience walking up this little dark staircase that often smells like urine. It's dimly lit. And then when you get down the stairs from the Brooklyn Bridge, you're confused about, are you even allowed to be here with all the NYPD barricades?
Yeah, exactly.
But it's not a good experience. We are working with Brooklyn Bridge Manhattan because we see so much of the economic potential and more importantly, the increase in quality of life for lower Manhattan areas. If this park gets built, it's a 9-acre park.
Oh, wow. That's big for Manhattan. That's gigantic for Manhattan.
That's like a farm.
COVID has shown how important green space is.
Yes.
And lower Manhattan lacks green space, especially on the east side. So that project, I'm really excited for, and I think that this could be a very transformational project. So that was one of the positives.
It's a great idea because Brooklyn Bridge gets so much damn traffic. So if you can somehow translate a percentage of that tourist traffic, that foot traffic that's crossing the bridge into Manhattan and get them into Chinatown, which is literally right there.
That is true. All these projects that you're throwing out with the gala, and don't you ever feel like, do you have a person or resource that you have to depend on when you're doing this, or you just kind of
I forgot to ask, is this your full-time gig?
Yeah.
Or are you just doing this at nighttime?
I also still work at Estee Lauder Companies. I'm the director of global travel there. But we have 2 full-time employees now. Our COO and our head of creative are full-time. So I've been doing this on top of my job.
Oh,
that's even more props to you then.
Yeah, for real. Do you have time for yourself to just relax sometimes?
Trying to. I think that's really important. It's you can't just always be on this grind because then I think you're living in a bubble. You're not exposing yourself to different ideas, different opinions, new ways of thinking. So as much as that time, you need that separation to have other personal growth.
100% agree.
Has there been any high points of this whole past couple of years, or some low points that come to mind right away?
High points are
dropping that giant check.
That was
was that a low point or a high point?
I think that was a high point. I feel like that's also just very representative of my personality, so it's accurate. High point is getting to know the community in this new level and taking home to just a different idea that I couldn't have imagined. Other high points are our volunteer base. Our volunteer base is so talented, and that network of API creatives, entrepreneurs, those working in corporate. I mean, even connecting with the both of you, how that has kind of transcended. And low points, I would say, is the pressure that you feel to kind of keep doing good. And the struggle too as a nonprofit is trying to balance ideas, aid, and then also thinking about the long-term sustainability of an organization too. And as we hire, making sure that they're paid equitably, that they are recognized for the work that they're doing. So that type of pressure is it can be a lot.
It can be consuming sometimes. What do you see yourself with Welcome to Chinatown in the future? If you can say, do you have in mind the end goal?
Yes. Our vision is to ensure that Chinatown's open for generations. What we're trying to settle on is, how do you balance the history and the legacy of the community with how can we also bring in innovation and digitalization in a way that it's not clashing too much. So as we're developing our roadmap, a goal for us is developing a small business innovation hub. And it's going to be 2,500 square feet of space in Chinatown that business owners can gather. We're able to bring in corporate companies that have supported us, plug in programming there, and it's the business owners can go to it. And it also allows us to think about fostering the next generation of new entrepreneurs, making sure that they have resources to get started, because AAPI entrepreneurs they're the most likely to use their own personal funds or ask family and friends versus trying to get investments from outside areas. And we really want to change that and decide, how could we make sure that business owners are aware these resources are here for them.
So I guess the long-term goal is just to be there for the neighborhood, to be an established part of the neighborhood where they can come to for information and everything like that.
Yeah, thanks for putting more like succinct point. Yeah.
Have you ever seen, like, at least here in Flushing, Chinatown, we have seen a lot more money being pumped into the Chinatown here. Some of that is due to a lot of overseas money coming in and kind of like changing that small mom and pop shop mentality that we used to have here, which it's still existing in certain pockets of it. But do you see that becoming a problem going forward as you're trying to modernize Chinatown?
It's a hard balance. I don't think that we can ignore the presence of that, and particularly around like mass, right? When you think about a Target opening or a Trader Joe's, the worst thing that can be done is not recognizing that is going to happen. It's more around, okay, how could we connect and help hopefully mitigate what the negative effects of that are and find areas to complement that. So it's still something we're also grappling with. Like, and if I were to drill this down myself, I'm a gentrifier. I just because I'm Chinese doesn't mean that I'm also not changing the landscape of the neighborhood and having this more millennial coffee shop that's going to open and cater to me. So it's taking and recognizing that, and then thinking and then trying to hopefully craft solutions that can meet the majority of the people and their needs.
Trying to balance the old and preserve the old and try not to piss off everyone at the same time.
Yeah. Do you ever had a moment where you're just like, fuck this, I just can't do it? Or it's like, this is way too over the top of my head kind of thing?
Yeah, I feel that. Particularly as the organization gets bigger and there's just so much imposter syndrome that, or everyone's expecting you to know the answer. And I think that the way too, in which we've got with social media, everyone is supposed to have an opinion on everything. And that's just not possible. There's going to be questions that I can't answer articulately, or I'm much better written and then saying something that if you fumble on this word, it's so much of that pressure and trying to make sure that I can harness and lead in a way that is uplifting others. Yeah, there's I'm oh, I don't know that I can do it. So there's a lot of doubt.
I feel so much stress when I hear you talk about that stuff. But the past 2 years, whenever I've looked at any initiative in Chinatown or anyone trying to do anything positive in that neighborhood, I have seen Welcome to Chinatown. So give yourself more credit. Take a second. Take a breath.
Yeah, this is pretty monumental what you're doing. You're trying to just put this on your back and be like, I got this. I got to protect this.
And it's good that you have your focus very narrowed down to Chinatown, to that specific area. Because I think a lot of these organizations that we've seen pop up over the past couple of years in terms of doing stuff for the AAPI community has been maybe too broad, maybe too general. And that oftentimes doesn't really translate.
And being effective.
What I'm trying to say is breathe and pat yourself on the back.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Good fucking job. Seriously. You have a lot on your plate, but you're handling with grace.
Thank you.
I had a question for this, but this might put you on the spot. What are some of your favorite restaurants in Chinatown?
Ooh.
And just remember, for the people that are listening, just because she doesn't name your particular restaurant does not mean she does not like your restaurant.
I love Great New York Noodle Town, and they just reopened, so I'm very excited to go. Potluck Club is amazing. I've eaten there 4 or 5 times already.
Oh, that's the one that just opened up recently.
It's opened by the same founders as Milk and Cream.
Oh, so you did a shout out to Wohop. I was like, yes.
Yes.
My favorite place is still Big Wong. It's part nostalgic for me because me and my wife back in college, we used to take the train over from Baruch. It was so good because the damn food came so fast. I swear to God, I would tell the waiter what I want, and literally 5 seconds later, it would just come out of the kitchen. It's like no time wasted. Salt and pepper pork chop. That was like my to-go thing, right?
Oh, yeah.
I swear to God, 10 seconds out the kitchen. So shout out to Big Wong.
I didn't realize you went to Baruch. I also went to Baruch.
Oh, did you?
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
That's why we are BFFs, because we coincidentally went to the same college as well. We have a segment on every single podcast. It's called Ranting and Raving. It's completely unconnected to the topic. We take a second just to bitch and moan, or maybe even compliment something that's happening in our lives. It's a nice, lighthearted way for us to end every single episode. Ben, you want to take this away?
Yeah. Sometimes when I'm out, it gets really weird. At the end of dinner, when you're out and the check comes, and then it's like, all right, we got to figure out how to pay.
Like on a date or just with friends?
Just with friends. Date's easy. It's just, but for like a dinner with a group of friends, you can always tell like they're not really friends, or it's like an awkward like work meeting when everyone's like taking out their cards like, oh, can you split this and charge this like this amount and then do this and that? And I'm like, oh my gosh, I have to do
Not like in terms of one person paying for the check, but like, do we just split this evenly, or do you pay for your particular entree / drink?
Right.
I mean, like that.
Yeah. Like there's 7 credit cards. And I always joke, I'm like, I'm just going to pick one random card.
Right? You should do that.
Yeah. I'm like, I'll pick one random one. Godspeed. I'll be right back.
Have you had that happen to you recently? Is that what you're bitching about it?
Yeah. It's just Venmo one person and just do one card.
Do people want their points? I don't like understand.
I guess. Yeah.
The point thing.
That's
I swear to God,
I could think of.
There's always one particular person who says, oh, can I get the points here?
Yeah.
I swear, someone always wants the points.
But yes, the point thing too.
You don't need that awkward moment.
Yeah. It's like, you just want to sit by yourself next time and, have your own thing? Nah? All right, fine.
I've got something. I have a home alarm system in my house. So recently I was taking a walk or somewhere and I had my earbuds in my ears, obviously. And I walked into my house and I forgot to turn off the alarm as I walked into the house. Open the door, it starts beeping. But because I had my earphones on and I was listening to something, I forgot. No. I walk into the house, I do whatever. Probably like 2 minutes later, I hear like a light beeping in my earbuds.
Yeah.
And my alarm is on in like full blast. And like literally as I'm running to turn off the alarm, I get a call from my alarm company just to make sure I'm like alive or it's me in the house or something. Somehow this has never happened to me in all the years that I've lived here. Thank God my alarm company does a 2-step approach. They'll call you, and if you don't pick up, then they call the cops.
How good are your earbuds?
I mean, they're in your ear. They see you in your ear.
Damn. Well, at least you know your alarm system works actually then.
Yeah. Because if I didn't have that 2-step thing, the cops would literally just come right to my door.
Around, they're like, sir, get on the floor right now.
What about you, Victoria? You got anything to rant or to rave about?
My rant is, all my friends know this, that I've been a part of like their bridal parties. It's just like how over the top weddings have gotten because people want their like social media moments. It's like, oh my gosh, can we stop this? Like everything feels like it's staged, like stage this, putting on your makeup here, stage this, like why can't the photographer just be taking like a candid shot? Like why do we need to walk down and do this and this? And I feel like it takes away from the moment too, and actually just trying to like enjoy it.
Did you just come back from a wedding? Because it sounds like very recent.
I have been having like a slew of weddings too.
That's why.
That's been annoying me, and not like judgment on my friends or anything. But it's just more around too, like who having to work with like all these vendors, and these vendors are probably being held accountable to other people that have said like, I want this, like I want this TikTok dance that I saw. I want like,
oh my God,
I'm over it.
That's a good one.
Don't be a bridezilla or a groomzilla. Like just try to enjoy your wedding. As a person who spent a shitload of money on my wedding, I tried my best to just enjoy the moment and not just get caught up in getting certain shots.
You enjoyed it with a lot of Johnny Walker. It was great. It was a lot of fun.
I get all that, but why are you going to get frustrated if you don't get a particular picture?
Right.
I bet you if you let the photographers and the videographers do their thing, they're bound to catch, like you said, a candid shot that's going to be so much nicer than something that you wanted staged. Victoria, it's been great having you on the podcast. Once again, please calm down, relax, pat yourself on the back, have a drink. Don't go to a wedding, but just like have a drink.
Yeah, no weddings for a bit.
No more weddings.
Because you are genuinely doing so much good work for everyone down in Chinatown. And even though you're not impacting the entire city or the entire country, I think other people around the country are seeing the example that
Yeah.
you guys are doing, and they're kind of taking that and hopefully starting their own thing somewhere where they are as well. So you're doing both good for our local area and for the country as a whole, I think.
Thank you.
Thank you for doing God's work. Seriously.
We will send you our giant check.
A blank check.
No.
Oh, shit. You're right.
No, not blank. No.
I'll try to take it to the bank. We'll see.
She's like, oh, there's some decimals missing. Hold on. I just got to move it with the zeros. Yeah.
Most important part of all of this, for those that do want to get involved, either to volunteer or to
Right.
donate or to do something in some part, where can they stay connected?
Yeah, best go to welcometochinatown.com, and there is a contact us form there. So complete the contact form with whether it's you want to volunteer, you want us to work with your company and their employee resource group, or even if you just have an idea and you just want to toss it out there, contact us on our website.
Perfect. I'll have all the information down in the box below. Do you want to give a date of the gala in case people want to stop by?
Yes, the gala is on September 29th. You can go to welcometochinatown.com/gala to learn more. And the public-facing event will be Friday, September 30th and Saturday, October 1st. And that will just be at 88 East Broadway from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. Friday and Saturday. So just come in anytime, no RSVPs. It's open to the public.
Will you be there those 2 days as well?
Yes. Yeah, I'll be there.
Okay, so if we find you and you see two people holding a giant check,
Yes.
that's probably us.
Yeah.
Yes.
Great. I'm going to be on the lookout.
For that giant blank check.
I'm expecting that giant check.
Does Staples sell like poster board that large? We are so screwed.
Yeah, we'll find one.
We just boxed ourselves in. I make no guarantees as to the authenticity or depositability of this check, but
Yes.
if you do see it, that will be us.
Great. It'll be in our office.
Thank you.
Okay, guys, if you want to stay up to date with what Ben and I are doing on a daily basis, go to www.worstasianpod.com, or you can follow us on every single social media at Worst Asian Pod. Once again, I will have links to everything down below. Please, guys, if you are interested, come out to the event. You can see Victoria. You can see this fake giant check that we have.
Yes.
In the meantime, we'll catch you guys next week.
Our giveaway.
Bye.
Peace.